Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft are all slashing middle management.
There's kind of an illusion with generative AI.
Real-time payroll data from ADP, and they found that the jobs most exposed to AI, like coding and accounting, have seen a 13% drop in employment for workers under 25.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Will AI replace engineers? My honest take, it's no. That won't happen, at least not for now, and AI it's expected to plateau at some point, especially now that it seems to be a productivity shift from company leaders, SEOs, and managers that wanted to push every software engineer out there to use AI for efficiency, and to move faster and build faster. And the whole idea of that is basically to reduce cost of development or building new software or pushing new features fast. Because right now in the industry, what it's really expensive is to actually build the software, like the research and development. I've been in the industry for over 7 years now, and let me start addressing what really changed for me. And the most obvious one is productivity. Since I started using Cloud Code for, testing ideas and prototyping, I realized that I can move really fast with Cloud Code. I can test ideas faster than before, more efficient than before, and I can break things easily. But I think that's only because I have already 7 years of experience. People that rely a lot of AI, that don't have technical knowledge to understand what the AI is doing. I think those kind of people, eventually at some point, they are going to stall and they're not going to push further, because the idea of using AI to code the entire product for you, it's going to eventually backfire hard because you don't have the technical expertise to debug and see and understand what is really going on. Will AI replace what you do at your job? I don't think so. Here's my take. Take this with a grain of salt. For example, on this chart right here, on the y-axis, we see complexity. And when I say complexity, imagine that it's actually code complexity. Features that are actually complex, needs requirements, high-level requirements where we need to integrate with a bunch of different things and third parties. And we have a context that is too big for an AI to take alone. On the x-axis, we see work capacity, what AI is actually, capable of doing and delivering in terms of results. To illustrate this a little bit better, and let's imagine that on the lower left, we see simple applications, for example, landing pages, marketing pages, or something that it's basically just simple to do or to execute. For example, you wanted to sell your SaaS product, you wanted to sell, a physical product, and you create a landing page. Today, every cloud provider does or have an offer similar to that. It doesn't actually have AI embedded into it. For example, you can create a landing page with Wix or, any website creator out there. There's like Webflows, you can grab a template and you do that on your own. You don't need to be technical in order to execute that. But AI can actually be quite useful too for those low-level complex applications. For example, you can draw something on your AI model. For example, you can have a blank page and you draw the overall idea of a landing page, and you can ask AI to generate a skeleton or implement a landing page based on your company branding or something like that. And AI is pretty capable of those tasks. And I think if all you do is basically do those low-level applications and landing pages or simple applications, AI can do pretty much all of that and maybe even more, or maybe capable of doing more complex integrations with that kind of a small context requirements. But if we go to the right, we see that it's actually more complicated. For example, let's say that you want to build a web application that it's capable of integrating into a database, fetching data into multiple sources, combining that, and also delivering something that is far from usual. AI is basically struggling with that right now. And if you're not technical, in order to leverage what AI can actually do and extend the work beyond what AI is capable of delivering, you're going to be limited, very limited with what AI can do for you. So that's what I think it's going to happen right now. And the more specialized you are to use AI to be on the top right of this chart, you're safer, in a ways that you can be efficient to delegate to the AI, to So those kind of tasks that are simple, lower level requirements and low level in complexity. And you can spend your time actually building stuff that is actually complex, and you can actually have your own time back in order to design features the way you want it, in order to test features the way you want it. And I believe that's the part of AI can do for you. Also, I just wanted to add that the key word here is complexity. If you're non-technical, trying to use these AIs for, things that go far beyond the usual applications, you're not going to go far because as you're probably aware, vibe coding is a term that out there has been thrown left and right. And I believe vibe code is just a bad term because people that rely on vibe code to do their applications with AI, they are limited because when something happens and break the patterns of the AI, you're not going to be able to debug or understand technically what went wrong and to fix the issue on your own. You're actually going to be hiring someone that is technical, aka a developer or an engineer, in order to debug, in order to fix the issue. And I believe that in the near future, we're going to see a lot of people, or maybe companies, specialize in fixing AI slop code. We are seeing right now a lot of security vulnerabilities that are being deployed by AI models. So careful with Lovable, V0, or any other AI model that is capable of building applications for you, because they are not actually concerned too much about building things in a secure manner, in a way that a serious actual business project will be handling, like by companies or serious startups. Also, I would like to discuss this idea of an AI-led company. We are seeing now a lot of different companies trying to have what they called an AI first company. Basically, are companies that didn't have AI into their product are now trying to embed this technology into their services. One example that I can give you is Duolingo. So Duolingo CEO once emailed all the company employees trying to say that now Duolingo is an AI company first. But for the Duolingo, it actually backfires quite hard because they try to embed a lot of different AI features into their product, but it made Duolingo worse with a lot of inaccuracies and a lot of teaching lessons that were pretty much bad out of the box with AI. And that also in combination with CEOs firing a bunch of contractors. So we kind of saw Duolingo going from a pretty good language learning application to an average to a basically bad language learning application, which is quite a bummer. And also another example that I can give you is that a lot of people are trying right now to build companies based on Replit or even Lovable or V0, as I mentioned earlier, and they are trying to make these new projects as something serious. And what happens is that a lot of those AI companies are trying to sell you that you can actually do that for a lot of business people. One example actually was really interesting where the AI actually deleted the whole company database. So if you're trying to trust these AI tools to build something serious for you, I would advise to be very careful with that. So if you're trusting your companies on this too, good luck. Finally, I want to discuss something that is actually related to how emotionally I am when I'm using this kind of LLM tools or AI tools out there. I used to be really excited when learning new framework and technical stacks because that was kind of very interesting to do and learn something new. For example, I always been gravitating towards front-end development. Now I'm trying to actually build something on the back end, and I'm experimenting with a lot of different frameworks like Django API framework. And I find it very interesting to learn something new. But whenever I do that with AI, like trying to replace those learning processes, for example, prompting for, okay, I want to build this API route that does X, Y, and Z. And whenever the LLM model is capable of delivering that out of the bat from start to finish, I completely lose interest in that. I cannot stand, because I basically am not learning through the process. And that is something I'm trying to be very aware, because I don't want to just rely on AI to do something for me. I want to actually understand what the code is doing. And I believe that I was browsing earlier an article from Harvard Business School, and that was a pivoting moment for me because it pretty much confirmed what was the sentiment behind of using AI tools for coding. And this happens for non-technical folks as well. If you're basically using AI to write or do summarization, text or image prompting or whatever, it doesn't matter the reason you're using AI. But when you're using AI to do something for you and you're being efficient, those tasks are labeled as boring, because you're not spending the actual time to do that yourself. You're basically delegating that to the AI. And if AI is good enough to do that for you, it's actually become really boring. And it's quite interesting to see that, because that's actually the sentiment that I had whenever I do things with coding with AI. If it's basically replacing my own thoughts and replacing my own manual steps to implement those features, I believe that is pretty much boring as hell. So that's why I don't do that very often. If I actually prompt the AI to do something for me, I actually do a second prompt right after to explain what the code is doing in details. And I want to understand also the whys, the reason why a specific part of the code was written in order to fix that issue, because it's really, really, really important that you actually understand the code's being written and not only relying on that it's been spit out of the AI model. But on the other hand, I think that when you're using AI to be faster, in a way, you can test a lot of different ideas, and that is very exciting. For example, if you're not too much into backend engineering and you need to do a specific feature in the backend to test your side project that you're actually building, like maybe using Next.js or a mobile application, you can actually move faster with AI because you're now capable of doing those basic things or even highly complex features in the backend, because you're already a developer, you know the coding, you already know how to face those challenges in the front end. So if you leverage AI to do something out of your comfort zone, you can actually move faster. And that's what I'm using AI for right now. I feel like I can transition between front end and back end into different parts of software engineering field, just because I have built experience over the past 7 years building like front end or client facing applications, that I can now pretty easily go to the back end and see how those features were implemented in order to support those applications that I've been building over the course of the years. That is really exciting. So you can actually use AI to do a lot of stuff for you, and you can build and test things fast. And I believe that's the whole great advantage of using AI for that. Use it to your advantage, and I think that will be a nice addition to your portfolio of tools. And finally, I just wanted to end this video with a piece of advice. If people are trying to sell you AI so hard, my take is try for yourself, because there's a lot of people right now trying to sell how good AI is for a specific purpose. So before you trust that, try for yourself and see if it is actually good, because there's an AI rush right now and everyone is trying to sell AI. Test and see if it's actually good. Careful with the sales pitch, because there's a lot of salesmen out there trying to sell you AI, and it might not be that really good. And I'll probably also record another video. This is it's going to take a while because I wanted to do it in a right manner, but I want to introduce you how I'm building my fitness application. So be on the watch out for that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.